Thank you all very much.
Commissioners, next thing on the agenda, we received a letter from the Southwestern Regional Day Report Center, and they are needing to appoint a victim's advocate representative to the board to fulfill grant obligation. The Community Correction Board seeks to add Boone County's victim's advocate, Christina Ingalls, to the seat. This addition requires the approval of the county commission from each county that you represent. If you have no problem with the addition of Christina Ingalls serving as a victim's advocate on the board, please send a letter indicating such. They can't add anybody without the approval of the county commission.
Okay, motion to agree, I guess, an agreement to accept the recommendation from Boone County.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All yes, and rule of the
Next thing on the agenda is old business. Rick McDowell and Ryan Jefferson on the Phase 4 wastewater program.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Morning.
We want to give you a little update on the adapter ring problem that we have been talking about for a while. Earlier this month, Lynn Brashear, who works for Infiltrator, they're the people who make the tanks, he came down and the two of us went out and we retrofitted one of the systems that had been put in where we had a cracked adapter. What that meant was we dug out around till we got to the tanks. We removed everything, cleaned everything, got all the sealant off, and then we put on new risers and a new lid using the correct methods and the correct glue, the correct sealant. Tomorrow we'll go out to make sure it doesn't leak. We think it's going to be fine. Infiltrator donated his time and donated the materials for that. And I think, you know, in part they feel some responsibility, which they should, because we were following written instructions that they had on their website to do that. So we did that. Tim Davis also retrofitted one site where he had leaking adapters. We've tested those don't leak. So the feeling is when you follow the instructions, everything should be fine. That still leaves us with 4 systems that Wiseman retrofitted not Wiseman, but Bill Clark retrofitted incorrectly, and 2 systems that Wiseman put in incorrectly. So we met with Wiseman, our friends Wiseman Excavating yesterday. Had another interesting conversation with them about responsibilities and what to do. What they proposed is that they would go back and retrofit those 6 systems, the 4 that Bill Clark did and the 2 that they did. Our thought, Ryan and my thought initially, was that it might make sense to sort of see if we could encourage Bill Clark to come and retrofit the ones that he messed up. Correctly. Yes. Wiseman said, we don't want Bill Clark messing with anything else anymore. They just don't feel that, they don't feel comfortable with him coming on site when they have the contract and doing that work. And I can sort of appreciate their point of view on that. So what they're proposing is that they go out and do one of the sites and they keep track of the amount of time it takes them to do that. And then based on that, they come up with a figure per site that we would use some of this extra money that we've got, the contingency money, to pay them. I guess the key is going to be what that amount is when they come in. What we did this time that we hadn't done the first time, remember we had some problems, Michael, you weren't here, but we had some problems with them charging what we felt was way too much money to go back and fix something. What we did with this contract written in the contract is a clause that says if we've got any changes that have to be made, that we have to do a contingency thing, you can't charge us more than 15% of the cost of the labor and the materials. So I think that's definitely going to keep it within a range that's going to be better. But we're going to meet this coming Monday with the DEP to talk about some stuff, and at the end of the meeting, we're going to talk to them about that, try to get everybody on the same page. So that's where we are. We're hoping this will take place fast because we're moving into cold, wet, rainy weather. We don't want any more infiltration messing up the systems. Hopefully when we meet again, we will have played this out and we'll be quickly moving forward.
Sounds like almost good news.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the dollar.
Yeah, we'll see what the price they trying to charge us is.
The other thing is that it could easily be that Infiltrator is willing to donate for free some materials on the two that Wiseman put in not following the right instructions. We didn't ask them about the Clark ones, because at that point, Clark was going to have to do it. But it might be that they'd be willing to donate those materials to us. So that'd be a nice, good faith effort on their part. We're also hoping maybe Wiseman will show a good faith effort in that process.
It's not like Infiltrator, they're doing it well. I mean, it's a big fight for them. They'll get their money soon, but maybe not what they'd like. They'll get something.
So that's where we are with that. And Brian was going to talk a little bit about Phase 5.
Just a quick update. I went to training last week from Tuesday through Thursday and learned about new systems. Well, they're not really new. I mean, it's technology that's been around, but I learned about systems that I didn't already previously know about called home aeration units. And I guess it's more the popular method around here, but I think the thing that rung true to me most of all was the fact that systems require constant maintenance, proper installation, and homeowners can't abuse them or they don't work. Because we went to a couple of field sites and lo and behold, none of them worked.
They weren't our field sites.
Yeah, they weren't our field sites. They were in Campbell County. But I mean, it just rings true to me. It says the importance of good maintenance and making sure that you talk to these homeowners about grease and problems that you don't want to be happening, like too much chemicals, and proper installation. I mean, that's what we're dealing with really a lot of right now, and I mean, having correct instructions, up-to-date instructions, I guess it's not only our problem, it's across the board, unfortunately. So, yeah, so that was a good training, though. I mean, I walked away feeling like I learned a lot, so that was good. And then Phase 5 is still kind of moving along. We've had, last meeting we kind of discussed just a little bit about maybe moving over the mountain. Last community meeting on Monday, we had, I talked to the community about it, and everybody seemed on board. Everybody said, we should keep this project expanding as long as we can. I looked at, on Google Earth, there's about 25 homes towards Spurlockville, so hopefully we can maybe recruit some more people if we don't get any more interest in the watershed, Left Fork watershed. Just because I'm moving or looking at expanding does not mean that I'm going to close off the ability to sign up in the Left Fork if we find more people that decide, hey, we're still interested, they want to join the project. And then I also talked to the Maintenance Association on Monday, and they were willing to kind of let new people join the Maintenance Association, even though it's technically not within that Left Fork community. So that was good too. So everything's moving along pretty well. We're going to meet with the DEP on Monday, like you said, and I'm going to try to kind of give some of my ideas about Phase 5, what I'd like to accomplish, and then try to make even a list of questions I want them to answer for me before I leave, so that I get as prepared as I can and move forward with it.
So by the next meeting, we should have some stuff about Phase 5 to at least sort of a general time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to update commissioners about something that doesn't have anything to do with the wastewater thing. Seems like I've always got a little piece to add. A week from this Friday, on the 26th, here in the courthouse, we'll be having a school attendance meeting. We've done some of these before. We started it when we got the counselor grant with the idea that if we brought together people from multiple agencies to look at kids who were missing a lot of school, we might be able to have a better impact on how to deal with those. So we'll at the meeting we'll have, it'll be in Tom Scarpolini's office. We'll have Tom there from probations, we'll have somebody from Department of Health and Human Services, we'll have somebody from the prosecutor's office, I think Jay Hope will be there, and then there'll be people from the school system. And what we'll do is we'll look at the kids who, at the end of the first grading period, had 10 or more unexcused absences, just to make sure that all those players in the county know who those families are. Because what we found the first time we started doing it, maybe DHHR didn't know about this family where this kid is doing this and all this, or maybe the prosecutor didn't know about it. So the hope is that that's going to help us do a better job reaching out to these families, trying to solve what are some underlying reasons for this. But courthouse will definitely be involved. I think it will be a positive.
Important issue for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And we're hoping to expand it, not the next time we meet, not just to look at absences, but look at the kids at school. Because I think we're going to find that kids, unfortunately, kids who are missing in most school are probably the kids who've been retained earlier. So, not sure how we're going to solve all this, but at least we'll have people talking. There'll probably be some report.
At least you have an idea of who you target. I mean, you at least know that these, and getting everybody involved. I know it's like when I oftentimes have requests from parents to keep their kids at home, just go homeschool or have them trained this way. And I'm really reluctant to do that unless there is a significant medical illness or something, because the participation in school is an interaction type thing, whereas at home you're basically insulating them from a lot of those interactions that they really need to develop, and socially and otherwise. And I know it's a real tough situation, because there are particular families that when one of the child, you help them with that child, the next child needs that help and things like that. So I think you have to, and if it's a legitimate reason, I have no problems with it, but sometimes it's not a legitimate reason, and some of those things really need to be identified. I found that sometimes parents need kids at home to help them with stuff, and they put that at a higher priority than they do going to school. And so some of that, I think you identify that and you get into it, because there will be families that need help babysitting, so they keep the oldest girl home or whatever and things like that. And that's not really fair to that oldest child, I mean, or to whomever is kept home. I think that, and that, as you guys go through this, I think that's one of the things that might need to be addressed, is talking to the parents, say, hey, we understand you might need this child to help you with something, but the child needs the education much more than you need that help. So, and I'm not talking about parents that are debilitated or sick or anything like that, just people that they need to go somewhere, they need somebody to watch Annie while they're gone. So they leave Mary home to watch Annie, and Mary's behind on things. Once she gets behind, it's so much harder to catch up. So if you can stop this before it happens, identify that as a risk in that, and then try to work with it, I think it will help a lot. Because I think a lot of these kids may want to go to school. It's not a lot of them don't, but I mean, there are some that really like to go to school and find it much easier to go to school and do the schoolwork than it is to take care of things at home. And so I think a lot of it may be shifting the responsibility from the adults to the child before they really need to have to shift it to them. And like I say, the biggest problem I see is the lack of social development of these children.
I think you're really on target.
And that's really what propagates it for the next generation too. So it's kind of an educating the parents that if you do this, then your kids are going to think it's okay to do it with their kids and so forth. So it's something that really needs to be addressed, and really needs to, I think, when you find situations like that with families, I'm sure you will, it's going to take a lot working with the moms and dads, saying, and I think that the people in school are really good about identifying that too. I mean, they kind of don't want people to have to stay at home and things like that, but I do think it's much more of a problem that I see with chronic people coming in, you know, and you identify this as a physician because they come in and they're supposed to be sick and they're not. When you check them, they're okay and things, you know, and after you do that 2 or 3 times, and I even had one patient, and it's not, generally happens, but I had one patient come back last spring with a really bad sunburn, and this was in March. And he'd been down to Daytona to races, and he missed school, and he came in for his sunburn. So you know, so there's a lot of, and he went with his parents. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, he didn't get approval from the school and things like that, but it put him into truancy problems. But those kids, I think, can be identified pretty easy by the chronicity of the absenteeism and things. But I think this is a family problem, you know, and not just a particular individual child. In a lot of cases, I think you're looking at a way that they work the system, I would say. Anyway.
We'll give you a report.
All right.
Find out what, yeah.
Okay, the next thing is Hearts Community Center.